Hello, how's it going? Good evening, good morning, whenever you tune into this. It's just after 12, where I'm at, 12 p.m. Obviously, because the sun is still out, technically behind the clouds. Anyways, at the time of recording, it's February 20th. By the time you see this, it'll likely be May, so what's up, time traveler? How's it going? I feel like I've been experiencing that thing more often where like I almost don't record a video, where like I have an idea for a video but then I don't record it. Like I feel like that's been coming up a lot more. And it's funny. Okay, so I've chosen to do a thing where I try to like procrastinate purchasing weed, and the reason for me not smoking is supposed to be multifaceted. It's not just for the money, but like it's also so I can not be affected by that, you know what I mean? But I'm definitely gonna do it at some point. I'm probably, most likely, like after work. Most likely. But I basically told myself that I was gonna like hold it off until after work. So I'm gonna do my best. I have 4 hours or 3 hours until I have to like head over there. And I was working on a project that I kind of like brushed to the side, I guess, if you could call it like that. It's a creative journal, and I've been working on that. And I don't know, like technically I already published it, but I decided to like reformat it because I was kind of silly about how I formatted it. I didn't recognize that I could like do page breaks. And so I did that, and so at some point I have to take it off of Amazon, and then I'm gonna have to like put it back up. And then I also have to make a cover that is suitable for Amazon, because that's a thing. They have specific guidelines and whatnot. There's a huge puddle right here. That's cool. But I don't know. Even if I do end up, because today's Friday, and so it is payday. I did get paid, and I got paid appropriately. I thought I wasn't going to get paid a certain amount, but I got paid, and so I'm gonna like, because now I can get myself a ride. I can like head over there. But I don't know, like before this moment, before I started recording, I was listening to affirmations, specifically money affirmations in my ear. And then I was listening to Abraham Hicks, if I can speak properly, when I first started this. So just trying to keep my brain sharp, you know what I'm saying? I've been doing deep breathing here and there. It does become a conscious effort, like not a chore, but we could call it a chore. Like you have to like consciously think to do it, and if you actually like commit yourself to it, it does, at least for me, I'm only speaking for myself, it does help if you actually commit yourself to it, if you're actually serious about the moment. You know what I mean? Because there's a difference between trying something wholeheartedly and then like trying something and just being like, whatever, I hope this helps, whatever. But when you study the nervous system, why do I keep messing up my words? Like why do I say it like that? The nervous system, when you study that, you do recognize how important it is to like, you know, take those deep breaths and like get in touch with your body. And sometimes it can feel difficult in the moment, like especially in social settings, it can be a little bit more difficult to take a deep breath because a lot of people will interpret that a certain way, especially if you're still new to doing that. Because like take a deep breath in certain contexts comes across as like annoyed or like frustrated or whatever. And it's just like, and even if that's true, the point of it is so that you can not be anymore. So sometimes you do have to like really force yourself to be like, okay, let me take a deep breath. Let me just. And I am so thankful. I don't remember where I heard the information from, but I recently learned that the exhale is supposed to be longer than the inhale. And that's kind of what activates the good parts of the nervous system. And when I heard that and when I've been applying that, like I feel like, yes. And it's funny because I've been meditating for like however many years. And I do believe like the idea of like learning something new every day, like, you know what I mean? As cheesy as it sounds, like, you know, because I feel like I've heard that before. I probably did hear that before, but another thing about like information and knowledge and shit is that like it doesn't mean much if you're not applying it in some way. You know what I mean? What does it mean to know that Jesus died for your sins if you don't actually like apply that in some aspect of you know what I'm saying? Like there it has to, like, because otherwise it's just information. It's like, okay, and what now? You know, like for example, if the sky is blue, which technically it's kind of white / grayish right now, but if the sky is blue and you also know that it changes colors, that's just information. But like, let's say you're a photographer and like you want to like take pictures of and it's like, well, then you'd have to wait at a certain time to get like those different colors, because you know, otherwise it's just information though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, the sky's blue during the day and then it changes colors, and that's, you know, I mean, it's okay to, I don't know, not everything has to, I'm contradicting myself, not everything has to be super duper applicable, but at the same time, when it comes to wisdom, when it comes to knowledge and stuff like that, you should want it to apply in some way, because otherwise it's just story, it's just fable, it's just, also shout out to my TikTok mutual, Fable, because she's awesome. So I have a boogie, or it's a hair. But yeah, also I got a little bit of a water droplet on my phone, and now we're out of focus, which is, okay, I fixed it. Okay, so, I don't know, like, I'm probably gonna title this Graveyard Chats, because I'm about to walk through the cemetery / graveyard. It's a cemetery, but I call it graveyard in the videos. Also, once again, I do have Abraham Hicks playing in my ear. If you're not familiar with Abraham Hicks, I would definitely suggest that you get into her. If you're interested in me at all, you should definitely listen to her. You know what I'm thinking about in this moment? I'm thinking about how I probably should wait until I get to the graveyard to finish recording, because I'm already 7 minutes in, and if I title this Graveyard Chat, then I don't know. Although it's supposed to be raining, I guess, like within the next hour or so, and it's a light rain. Hopefully it's not too terrible. I'm already outside. Excuse me. Now I'm thinking about giraffes. Recently I learned that giraffes kind of have to just weather the storm. Like, sure, there are certain ways that nature makes shelter for them, but like, you know what I mean? And that's crazy. That's crazy, because it's not raining, it's not going to be really bad, but I don't know. Previously, I was thinking of Fort Wayne. I was thinking of my time in Fort Wayne. Is it a bird? I thought that was a plastic bag. That's a bird. I don't have my glasses on. But I was thinking about Fort Wayne, and because I really did enjoy my time there. I enjoyed a lot of the people. I enjoyed a lot of my experiences. Even though I had some really fucked up experiences, I did really enjoy my time there. I enjoyed a lot of the people. And sometimes a lot of the time I think back with fondness. And this is actually not where I was going at first. But because somebody was talking about like the idea of like missing someone, and the pain that comes, or the discomfort that comes from missing someone, versus thinking of them with fondness. And I think it was an Abraham Hicks video, I think it was, and I was thinking about that, and I was applying that to my own aspect, to my own life, and being like, yeah, I do understand that, because I don't really miss people per se. Like, if I am currently in communication with somebody, if I'm like in somebody's story currently and I'm not around them and I like them, sure, I might like yearn for them, or like gently, but like, you know what I mean? I don't spend too much time thinking about that. Like, if I'm not in communication with somebody, I'm not like, oh yeah, I miss this person. It's like over, where the story's over. I'll think of it with fondness, but the story's over. I don't like what's going on. It's okay. And I don't know, a lot of people come to me as a reader and say things like, I miss them, I really miss them, are they going to come back, etc., etc. And I don't know the specific dynamics and everything, or the specific details, because I've had situations where somebody left my life and I wasn't sure whether or not they were going to come back, and sometimes they do come back, sometimes we do reconnect. But I don't know, I've never been, as far as I can remember though, because maybe there's blind spots, maybe there's moments I can't remember in this moment, but I don't recall ever being the type of person to be like so like attached to another person, where like if I'm not around you, like I feel like I'm missing something. You know what I mean? Like, once again, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy people. I really enjoy connecting with certain people, and like, you mean, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's just like, I am me, and I am only enjoying you from the perspective of me being me. And part of that experience is also me, because me is who I am. I will bring something to the connection. And so, you know what I mean? So I don't ever like disconnect from people and think like, oh fuck, like I missed out. Because I'm like, I'm pretty groovy, I'm pretty awesome. You know what I mean? Not to like unnecessarily toot my own horn, but like sometimes you do have to look at it like that. Like, you're a vibe. Like, anybody would be lucky to be with you. And like, and I think a lot of times we try to personalize it. We try to personalize why people leave us, why people walk away. And it's like, sometimes people just don't get along. Sometimes people just are incompatible. Sometimes people's traumas are too loud. Their fears are too loud. And it has nothing to do with you as an individual. It just didn't align, you know? I remember this one guy, I've been thinking about this one guy that I was like so in love with. I was so head over heels for whatever reason. And I don't know, part of me felt like it was lust looking back, or feels like it was lust looking back, or did maybe, I don't know. Because I wrote like a whole love letter to him at some point, and I gave it to him, and it was like a very sexual letter. And he even questioned, he was like, why is it so sexual? And I was like, I don't know, this is how I feel. But that was like a whole thing. And I remember at some point, before we even got intimate or anything, like we hung out for like a weekend or whatever in his car. Like we drove around, and I felt kind of trapped at some point because then the door wouldn't unlock, and that was kind of strange. I don't think that was necessarily his fault, because then at some point he fixed it, but that was the thing. And so we rode around, and it was nice, it was decent, I guess. I don't know, I enjoyed my time. And I really enjoyed him. I liked him. And at some point he did like, well, actually it was me, technically it was me, you know what I mean? Let me take accountability, because I said bye, I said deuces, I'm done with this. And I had him drop me off at the library, and I was like, okay, this is over. And I did miss him. I did miss the experience. He had a car at the time, and that was also fun, and I missed it. And but at the same time, I also had other shit that I was focused on and I was working on. So like at the same time, I wasn't about to just be sitting around waiting for somebody. But at the same time, for a few good months, I did like watch out for his car. And it was a crazy subconscious thing of just like yearning and just being like, oh my God, is that him? Is that you? Oh my God, I miss you so much. And so I get the idea of missing somebody, but at the same time, I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not like going out of my way. I don't think I asked a single person whether or not he was gonna be back. I might have pulled cards on the situation or whatever, but I don't know, because I think I'm really good at detachment. I'm really good at being like, okay, well, this is over, this is done, it was good while it lasted, but it is over, you know what I mean? I'm really good at that, thankfully, somehow. But I did miss him, and then eventually he did come back. Or no, okay, I think I left the state. So maybe that was a good refresh, because I left the state. I was homeless there, and I left the state to go not be homeless. Sounds interesting. And then I went back, and when I went back, eventually I did run into him, and it was really nice. It was really fun. And yeah. And then we had a whole thing, platonically, romantically, whatever, sexually, I don't know, whatever. And then that's when I actually wrote the thing, I think. Yeah, after we met up again. And he didn't have a car. No, did he have a car then? Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think about it. You know, I think when I wrote him the letter, he did not have a car. That was the second time we met up. And we were both at the homeless shelter, and we were just like at the shelter. And that's technically where we met, but like he had a car. So, you know, he wasn't necessarily just stuck at the shelter like most people were. So we rode around and we like did our thing. I remember I had a guitar back then too. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't, the way that I think of life is like, like I have a song too that says this really funnily enough, where it's just a series of ups and downs of different experiences. Sometimes you love them, sometimes you don't really love your experiences, but like it's just a collection of experiences and moments, and you know what I mean? Everything's temporary. you know? And I look back and it's just like, it's really fun, some of the things that I've done. And even though I might not be doing them anymore, it's really fun to be able to say, I did this and I experienced this and I made this happen. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, that's how I think about it. I'm not like attached to it and being like, I wish it was like that again. It's just like, in passing, in memory, it's like, that's fucking awesome that I did that I lived that I made that I created that. You know what I mean? And I'm sure, because part of my mission is like to connect with other people and help other people on their journey. Like, I'm sure also because I've created so many things publicly and like, you know what I mean? That's also a factor, like the fact that I'll be able to like, and it's like, I don't know, this is a very different energy than I started the video with, but like I really appreciate this energy that I'm in. Thank you so much, Spirit. Also, hello, Burtons. I think it was because I was thinking about Fort Wayne, and that's what happens when you fall in love with a person or a place or a thing or whatever. Like, it changes your energy. You know what I mean? And like, maybe I'm just talking, but like, I don't know. Isn't that what most of my videos are? I don't know. And I don't know, really, honestly, sometimes I think back and I do think that one could classify my experiences as negative because I was homeless. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of that time I was homeless and I was struggling. Well, I don't want to say struggling, but once again, somebody could classify that as struggle. And I do remember recently looking back at that and looking back at my life in general and just being like, everything's fucked up. But like I said before, I think I bring the best to any situation. And so once again, it's hard for me to truly look at it like as a completely negative situation, because I do transmute and I do try to turn things into other things. And you know what I mean? I try to look at the glass half full, even though sometimes the water in the glass is like disgusting and like moldy and disgusting, you know? I am not sure if I'm going to end up purchasing more marijuana before I go to work. I might. I won't shame myself about it, but I'll be slightly peeved off at myself, but at least I made this video. And I think sometimes that's how I justify doing certain things, because it's like, at least I'm creating something, at least I made something out of it, at least you know what I mean? It wasn't just all in vain. Like, there was something that came out of that time, that energy, you know? And I think that's also a big way that I justified when I did meth back in Fort Wayne. Because I'm ADHD. I've been diagnosed, and I used to be medicated when I was an adolescent, but I got myself off of it because I didn't really love how it made me feel emotionally. So I got off of it, and somehow, some way, I found like meditation and Zen, and like, you know what I mean? So I feel like that kind of balanced it out. But I do have ADHD, and so when I was doing meth is an amphetamine, and it's a stimulant. So like, for my natural chemistry, that it helps and it works. And one thing I noticed with other people, I made so many friends, so many amazing like people, but I met so many amazing people. But so one thing that I pondered when I was doing it was like, if it was making my body react the way that it makes some people react, I would hope to God that I would have the willpower to stay away from it, because some of because there was the tweakers is what people called them, and I'm like, does it feel that good? And I guess so. I don't know. I can't imagine, man. I can't imagine, like, because then people would do drugs that, like, I don't know. People do all sorts of crazy drugs. Meth is a crazy drug, but I think compared to other drugs, it's like, once again, and I think also it depends on your own body type. Like, if you have ADHD, it's probably not going to affect you the same way that it affects somebody else. And I think that's a big part of it, because I do have ADHD and I have been diagnosed with that. The one thing though is that it is expensive and it's also illegal. So I wouldn't necessarily and also the ingredients in it are not, like, objectively, they're not good to be going in your body. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's like just an objective aspect of it. Like, physically, it's not good for you. Like, that's the biggest thing. But it does help in the moment. It does help in the moments. You know, like, I created most of the music that I made when I first started making music, like officially, like under a name and like everything, I was blasted. I was like, I smoked so much. I don't even remember like how often I was smoking, but I was smoking, and I made sure to balance it out with like productivity and like stuff like that. So it wasn't as crazy as it could have been because I was focused. I had my blinders on. But when I think about it, I was like, I did smoke a lot. Like, you know what I mean? And like, I remember I was working at Taco Bell and I like was smoking in the bathroom, and that was like a whole thing. I didn't get caught or anything, but you know what I mean? Like I was, and like, it's not a pleasant experience to be in that specific energy. But once again, I think some of the things that came out of me doing that were kind of justified in a way. If I could do it again, would I do it differently? Maybe I would try to stay away from those things. But it is what it is, you know what I mean? I remember there's this one song that I have called Happy, Bored, and Sober, production by Hadium, and it's a good song, but it's funny because I wrote it when I was trying to get sober, and so I was like, technically I was 2 days sober. I was also homeless, and I was like, but I was like 2 days sober, and so in the lyrics I wrote 2 days sober and X, Y, and Z. And then like further in the song, there's another lyric, because when I started recording it, when I started like furthering the writing, I smoked again. So I was no longer, it's not funny, but I think it's so funny. Like, it's a beautiful song, point blank period. Like we're not going to take that away. Like you could go listen to it. It's not a bad song. But I think it's so interesting that I was like blasted during the recording of it. And there's a nice little motivational thingy at the end of it, and once again, it's a beautiful song. I think like it's upbeat too, so it's not like somber. It's upbeat, and it's nice. And once again, it probably wouldn't have happened if I didn't have that experience of like meth addiction. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't have had. Probably, most likely, I wouldn't have thought to think of those lyrics if that wasn't an experience that I had. And sometimes it is unfortunate to think about how affected we are by unseen forces, by our traumas, by our fears, by our lineage, you know what I mean? But it's also interesting the stories that are created. And when I say stories, I mean just like anything, like music, art, families, like, you know what I mean? Like the things that are created out of like these sometimes very painful experiences, you know what I mean? And it's like, it fucking sucks sometimes, but it's like, if you can like ride the waves, it's like so awesome. And I'm so fucking glad that I decided to record this video, because if I didn't, I can't even imagine how that would look if I didn't record this video. But I probably would have went to go smoke, and I probably will still smoke. I'm just being honest with myself and being honest with you guys. I probably will, and that's okay. I have excess funds right now. It's not a big deal. I'm not trying to worry too much about money. But also, if I could vent a little bit, because I haven't really talked about this. I talked about it to my boyfriend, I guess. And that was a way of processing. I really don't like my coworker. Like, I think everybody else, I think to some degree, all humans that don't have the same capacity as me, to some degree annoy me. But even within that, I think I have space to like appreciate people as they are. You know what I mean? But this guy, I don't know, the way that he operates, the way that he acts is sometimes very frustrating. Apparently he's hard of hearing. And sometimes I'll be right next to him and I'll be talking to him. And maybe it's not like literally as loud as I'm talking right now, but like I'll be talking to him and he'll be like, I can't hear you. And he'll like be so like dramatic about it. And like, it's like, bro, what? Bro, what? And then like there's other little things. Like I felt the way that he was like, his tone, like when he was, because there's a list that our boss made. I wasn't even supposed to be working that day. I was like scheduled off, but he asked me to, he said I could come in if I wanted to. It wasn't even like he asked me to come in. He said I could come in if I wanted to. I realize I'm a good worker. So like, I understand that he likes the results that I produce. So, I mean, I get it. But, yeah, he said I could come in if I wanted to. And so I came in later than I usually would have. And it was only a 4-hour shift. This was literally yesterday, I think. Yeah, yesterday. And, he had made a list, I guess, or somebody made a list. And the other person wasn't even there to fulfill her part of the list, so I thought it was very interesting. And then also the time that he wrote down on the paper was not the time that he asked me to come in. So that was also confusing because I was like, what? And so, like, I think, honestly, it was the number, the timing thing that really threw me off. But it said specific areas that I was supposed to, like, work in. And specifically, he wanted me to work in the stationery section and then the pet section. And because previously I was, like, organizing the other part of that aisle, and so he wanted me to finish doing that, and so that's what I was doing. And I originally, before I got to doing what I was doing, I was just recovering because he wanted me to recover. That's what he texted me about. And before I saw the sign, well, actually I did see the sign, but because once again, I was scheduled for 5 o'clock. He wrote 4 to 7. And that alone really threw me off in a way where I was like, okay, I'm not understanding this. And so I really did not take the time or the energy to read the rest of the words, because I was just like, what? So I read the words, but I didn't process them. Like, it said stationery and pets, but I didn't process it like, oh, go to these aisles. I was just like, okay, I'm here to recover. He's obviously confused. He wrote the wrong time. I'm not even supposed to be. I was like, this is supposed to be for tomorrow, maybe? You know what I mean? So many thoughts. I was like, you know? And I think it's funny sometimes how that can be like my kryptonite, like just a simple error, a simple typo. Sometimes it really fucks me up when somebody does a typo. Like, fuck. Like, what are we talking about? Am I a robot? Oh my gosh. I do have a lot of Virgo on my chart. I'm very analytical, very, you know what I mean? But anyways, I was just recovering a random aisle towards the front so I could stay in eyesight of the register, because he wasn't at the register at the time. And so he came up to me, and I don't know, like, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I could tell that there was a lot of energy behind what he was saying. Like, what he was literally saying on the surface, if I didn't hear the tone, I would be like, okay, cool, yes, thank you for redirecting me, because I was very thrown off. And I was very thrown off by the time that he wrote, so I didn't really comprehend the rest of it. What he said basically was like, did you understand the letter? Did you understand it in its entirety or whatever? And once again, I felt like there was a lot of energy that was coming through with the tone. Like, he was trying to be pleasant, but it just rubbed me the wrong way. And maybe that's a me thing. Let me check maybe that's a me thing. But it rubbed me the wrong way. And then on top of the hard of hearing thing, and him like yelling at me to like make me yell, and I was like, because then sometimes he's snappy about it, and he's like, and it feels like he's like blaming me for him not being able to hear. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's how it comes across, and I'm like, so once again, I don't really like this person. And like sometimes there's a lack of communication sometimes. And it was interesting because the other person who didn't show up, my mother knew that she wasn't showing up because she was working there and she is no longer working there, and I guess they're in communication, and she told her that she was gonna be late. So I told him, and he was like, nobody told me anything. And I was like, I don't know, I'm just telling you, I don't know. And once again, it was just the way that he was saying it. And like, once again, this could just be a me thing, but it just felt like the way that he was coming across, it just felt very intense. And like, he seems like a friendly guy. Like, he like the way that he interacts with customers, him and my boss, like, it's very friendly. Like, it feels authentic. It feels like, you know, like one of those environments where they call the store family, but then they also treat their customers like family. Like, it's a good environment. Like, I don't want to like make it seem like he's the worst person in the world, but like my evolved self, there's like parts of him that I'm just like, ugh. And maybe that, once again, maybe it's a me thing. Maybe I need to reflect and think about some things within myself, but I don't know. I mean, I guess in theory, I could communicate that I find him to be a little bit harsh. I could say, hey, I think you're a great guy, but like, sometimes you come off a little bit harsh. And however he perceives that is however he perceives that. You know what I mean? But at least I could communicate and say something and see if something changed. And that's the thing, like a lot of people prevent themselves from communicating because they're like, what if they don't agree? And it's like, okay, well, that's part of it. Like if they don't agree, well, then now you know where you stand and now you know what's going on. You know, because if you're bringing a genuine concern to somebody about the, you know what I mean, about the sanctity of your connection, and they like deny you, they reject you, they like, you know what I mean, they don't take it seriously, that's a sign that maybe that's not somebody that should be in your life. You know what I mean? Like, but then instead we prevent ourselves from communicating what we feel and what we think and what we want. And so there's not even an opportunity for things to change. And then you're just building resentment because you're just like thinking how awful this person is, how they don't like attune to your needs magically without communication. But it's like, you know, sometimes you do have to communicate the thing. Sometimes you do have to say the thing. You might feel like it's not necessary. You might feel like it's a rupture, but like sometimes that's what's needed. So then we can make repair, you know what I mean? And then things can be better. But I digress. I feel like I've just rambled for 30 minutes. I know I didn't just ramble, but that's what it feels like. It feels like I've just vomited my spirit into this video format. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I appreciate your presence. Thank you for those who engage with the videos, for those who help support me on Patreon and elsewhere. Thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope you know, I'm gonna stop walking, take another deep breath. I hope you know that you're amazing and beautiful just the way that you are. Sure, there's always room for improvement, but you are so loved, and whatever you're going through is very temporary. And sometimes it doesn't feel temporary, but it is, I promise you. And yeah, deuces, bye.